streaming down the road here. So we wanted to see how this would work. You know, we're always trying to figure things out with YouTube, how it works. We are driving down the road to Missouri. Here, let me clean off my lens there a little bit. Oh, and I think I made it worse. Just cleaning off my lens. There we go. All right. Yeah, we're driving down the road. We're headed to the CPI workshop, which is near St. Louis, Missouri. It's happening this weekend. We're going to have classes and such. And we've we're on the last little bit of the trip. We're almost in the area. So yeah, we're heading down the road. We've been chatting and talking politics and such, and we thought that it might be good to just kind of see where folks are at. I'm going to turn the camera around. You can kind of see the highway as we're driving down the highway. I guess we're doxing ourselves, right? But I guess by the time people see this, we'll be long gone from where we are. But yeah, there you go. And we're just driving down the highway here. On our way to Missouri. Are we in the state of Missouri yet, Liam?
We are not.
We're not in the state of Missouri yet, so there you go. We're driving down the highway. Liam is driving, and he's doing a great job, and we've been talking politics. I've been checking in with people about the classes that we're doing this weekend at the CPI retreat, going over different things, making sure everything's in order. It's going to be a great weekend, and I thought, hey, why not just have a little surprise stream as we zoom on down the road here. So different things are on our minds. We've been talking about North Korea and how U.S. solidarity with North Korea is really important. We've been talking about that a lot. Liam has been doing a lot of reading about the Juche ideology and the North Korean communist, perspective, their unique interpretation, I guess socialism with Korean characteristics, if you want to call it that. Do you want to say anything about Juche, Liam?
Sure. Well, 21st century socialism is taking on many different forms, and one of them that I thought was particularly interesting to study because of the uniqueness of what they're doing is North Korea. And very recently, Trump got a lot of flack because he had, of course, praised Kim Jong-un for being awarded with a position, I think, at the World Health Organization or something like that. But I've seen a profound shift where you see a lot of right-wingers, even young right-wing Republican types, who are making threads on Twitter, who are coming out and saying, a lot of what the fake news media is saying about North Korea is entirely flawed, and that they actually are really interesting people to study. So I've been looking into Juche, and I think it has a lot to say about 21st American communism. And it's interesting, in Korea, when the Japanese were imperialists over Korea, there was a lot of Christian missionaries that were there as well that eventually got expelled out of the country by the Japanese. And the Kim family knew some of these missionaries and was close to some of them, and you could see kind of some of the Christian American influence on Juche, which is weird because we know how North Korea is a very considered anti-American country. So it's quite fascinating, Caleb.
Yeah. No. Important stuff, and that the fact that Trump wants to continue the peace process on the Korean Peninsula. This is an opening that those of us who trying to build an anti-imperialist working class movement, fight for a government of action to fight for working families, organize the American people against imperialism. This is something that we ought to take seriously, and we continue to pay attention to that. Any on the Korean Peninsula, open space. I mean, look at America. This is not New York City. This is the real America. This is the bulk, the heartland of America, and we have got to figure out how to re-energize America. Start building fusion energy, start building high-speed railways, and we've got to re-energize all this land, all these resources, all these people that are full of energy. We could revitalize America. We could make America a center of growth. The ultra-rich, the monopolists, the big oil banking elite, they see America as just Southern California and New York City. They're so full of potential for economic growth and development. That's where America, there's so much energy, so many people, so much.
Out to Texas or drive through Ohio, drive through Indiana, go through Missouri. There is so much open space and so much that can yet to be built. there's no reason why we should have people struggling to afford a home in the 21st century. Like, me and my generation are worried that we're never going to own a home. Look at how much space there is. And we have all of these new developments in production, and we can't have homes for people even though we have all this space, and they say it's overpopulated and we're consuming too much.
Yeah, it's really insane. It's really insane. So much opportunity for growth. And, we really just need to become, fighting for America to be reborn. And that the future of the American people is beyond imperialism. This global capitalist imperialist system where the big multinational corporations and banks grind the world into poverty so they can stay rich and enrich themselves. This is the main danger to humanity, and the future of the American working class, black, brown, Arab, Asian, Latino, is aligning with the people of the world against it, with Russia, with China, with Venezuela, with Cuba, with Iran, with People's Korea, with Vietnam, against imperialists. The workers are the enemies of all humanity, and the working class of with the middle class, with the lower levels of capital, build a real anti-monopoly coalition to rebuild America and break America out of the imperialist system. Socialism with American characteristics, drawing from Christianity, drawing from the drive and the innovation of the American people to build up a block of resistance to the imperialists, to the Pentagon and their war drive. That's what we should be doing, right? That is the duty of anti-imperialists in America. That's what I maintain, and that's why I love road trips. By the way, I love road trips. I'm drinking my unnamed diet beverage all the way. Liam can testify about how much unnamed diet beverage I have been drinking on this trip. A huge amount, right?
A lot of unnamed diet beverage.
A lot of unnamed diet beverage on this trip.
We're coming up on a beautiful very American site.
What is it?
Coming up on the St. Louis Arch.
St. Louis Arch. Oh, wow. We're coming up right here. Oh, there's the St. Louis Arch. There you go. Look at that. Look at that. The St. Louis Arch. We're passing the St. Louis Arch. That's poetic. Right? There's the St. Louis Arch. We're driving.
Well, here's to us breaking through new barriers and going into a whole new paradigm.
Yeah.
That's what the Arch is supposed to represent.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, you're breaking it. It's supposed to be the gateway from one side of the country to the other. This gateway to a new. St. Louis, it was once a town that was really driven by the Mississippi River and all of the industry and trade that would happen up and down the Mississippi River. And just like every other city that we've driven through, you can see it's all beat up and it's all destroyed practically because we're not building anything anymore. It's just poverty.
It's wild.
You have to work at one of these casinos. How many casinos have we driven by?
Oh yeah, no, I talk about that, about, casinos, it's always this scam, the city is falling apart, people are losing their jobs, right? And so they have this brilliant idea, let's build a giant goddamn casino, right? And they build a casino in the middle of the city and they say, oh, we're gonna bring jobs in with this casino, and what happens? All the poor people in the city lose their money there, right? All the working class people go there and they lose their money. The city has to pay for it usually and gets bilked. It's all a big scam. No city has ever been saved by a casino. No city, it's been devastated, has built a casino and then it's revitalized. Never has that happened. Didn't work in Detroit, didn't work in Pittsburgh. They always try this, casinos are going to save cities. But casinos, it's not real wealth, it's just scamming people out of their money, more or less, trying to turn people into gambling addicts. And, there's a reason that every religion in history has forbidden lending money at interest and has forbidden gambling, right? And that's because this is wealth that is not created by creating any value. They're not building anything, they're not constructing anything. It's just false value, and that is opposed. The Bible talks about, those who steal should steal no more, but they should go and produce for those in need, produce wealth for the needs of the people, right? That's in the book of Ephesians. Go and read the epistles. Every major religion, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, forbids this kind of fake wealth. Marx talks about it. He talks about fictitious capital. Fictitious capital. Go and read what Karl Marx said about fictitious capital. The wealth that's created that doesn't increase the value of the country or the wealth of the land in any way. But go on.
You could see that all of the casinos started popping up. There's around the same time where the economy was becoming more and more fake too, as they were getting rid of all the actual industries and all the real productive economy, and we just start going straight to speculation. It they also deliver this new speculative fun thing to do for the masses, go gamble. We're all gambling, at the top. So they go gamble, and it's funny because if you look, I believe it's Brussels, I could be wrong, maybe it's another city, but the first stock market and the first casino.
Oh, I got to turn us around. The St. Louis Arch. We got a much nicer view of the St. Louis Arch now. We're coming into St. Louis. Look at that, the St. Louis Arch. Keep talking. Yeah.
Yeah, but the first mega casino in Europe coincided with the development of the first major stock market exchange.
History lesson. During the U.S. Civil War, St. Louis, this city that we're now going by, was guarded by the Ohio 9th Infantry Regiment. The Communist Division of the Union Army was in charge of guarding St. Louis during the Civil War. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. Joseph Wedemeyer, who was a friend of Karl Marx, who had served in Germany, had fought in the German Revolution. He was the leader of the Ohio 9th Infantry Regiment. They were dispatched to St. Louis during the U.S. Civil War to defend it from the Confederacy. It's a fascinating story, the Communist Division of the Union Army, and they guarded St. Louis. And, there were more Civil War battles in the state of Missouri than almost any other state, except for like Virginia. I think Virginia had more Civil War battles, but Missouri was a site of a huge amount of fighting during the U.S. Civil War. It was like a key battleground state. It was a border state, right? And before the U.S. Civil War, you had Bleeding Kansas, when, you had Quantrill. It was this Confederate guerrilla. And you had the Jayhawkers, and you had John Brown fought in Kansas against the slaveholders. He had his militia that fought against the slaveholders in Kansas. Kansas was like a center of the Second American Revolution, of the battle against slavery. It's a really wild story. There's so much revolutionary history in the United States of America. In fact, James Cannon and a lot of the early communist organizers, they organized in Kansas and in Missouri and places like that. Read about Alex Howitt. Google the name Alex Howitt. He was a miner organizer in Kansas of the mine workers. He was heroic. Read about William Z. Foster and the organizing that he did in Kansas and in Missouri. These are revolutionary parts of the country. People forget that. The synthetic left is all about this urban gentrification. Oh, we hate the American people. They're all a bunch of racists. Oh, they're all a bunch of evil people. And they don't get that, it is among the working people who are struggling. That's the bulk of the revolution. You go to Venezuela, who are the biggest supporters of Hugo Chavez? It's the people who live in the mountains, the indigenous people who work the land. They are the bulk of the revolutionary movement in Venezuela. And the urban rich people who live in the gentrified centers, they're the people who get, hashtag revolutionary George Soros inspired messages to go out and riot against the government of Venezuela. If you study anything, who was the base of the revolution in China? Was it the elite, liberals who thought they were smarter than everybody else? No, it was the rural working people, They were the base of the Chinese Revolution. Go and read Lenin. Lenin wrote this amazing pamphlet called To the Rural Poor. Have you ever heard of this?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. To the Rural Poor. It's not one of Lenin's most well-read works, but he's explaining, basic Marxism to the rural working people. He called for an alliance with the peasantry. Leon Trotsky said the peasants were an inherently reactionary class. They could never be revolutionary. But Lenin said that the working class should align with the peasantry. And he built, for a revolutionary dictatorship of the workers and the peasants. It was amazing stuff, just amazing stuff. So, it's important history that people should be aware of. There's so much information people are not aware of about the history of the country and the history of the Marxist movement. Marxism is a populist movement inherently. What does Bolshevik mean? What does it literally mean? It means majority. The majority group, the majoritarians. The Bolsheviks are basically the populists, right? I mean, the name comes from the meeting in London where the majority group, the majority of the people in the meeting signed on with Lenin. But, at the time of the Russian Revolution, everyone was talking about the Bolsheviks are coming to power. The majority, the majoritarians are coming to power. The populists are coming to power, right? This is our history as a movement. We got to reclaim it. The synthetic left, the Malthusians, the degrowthers, they hate the working class, but we love the working class. We believe that God is in the people. The will of God is in the people, struggling against the bankers and the elites. That's what we're talking about here. And the synthetic left has gotten away from that. They don't believe that. But we are We are all about the struggle of the people. Long live the unity of the people of the world. You know, the future of the American working class is with China, with Russia, with Venezuela, with Cuba, with Iran, against Wall Street, right? That's the message we got on here. So we're just streaming down the road here, you know, having a great time. But, you know, the classes this weekend are going to be great at the retreat. We got a lot of people coming. There's people coming to the retreat from Texas, from Arizona, from different parts of the country. It's going to be an awesome weekend. But if you're in the Northwest, or the Northeast, I should say, check out, save the date of July 10th, because we're having a very exciting Center for Political Innovation, like mini conference in New York City. We're reserving the space and getting the information together. The great Jose Vega is going to be there. That's going to be awesome. It looks like Nick Brana from the People's Party is going to be there. Chris Halali from the Party of Communists is going to be there. It looks like there'll be some important guest speakers to be announced. Information on that pending. So July 10th, we got a big event coming up, and we're probably going to have like an anti-war protest in New York City that day as well. We're going to have like a Peace with Russia, Peace with China rally in the streets of New York City in the afternoon, and then our July 10th like CPI event will be in New York City that night. We're doing some great stuff here, right? There's a new realignment going on in America. The Rage Against the War Machine coalition with the Libertarian Party, the People's Party, the Party of Communists, the LaRouche movement. Like, there's a new block of people that actually believe in raising working people out of poverty. That's the future here, right? You know, the synthetic left is going nowhere. We've got to build an in real life organization, right? Internet is rigged. Social media is rigged. It is completely rigged, right? It is completely rigged, okay? We know that. The Twitter files have revealed that. Social media is rigged. We've got to build a real network of anti-imperialists to face coming storm. We are driving down the highway here. We are in St. Louis, Missouri, and we are excited. This is really, really great, right? We're about an hour away from where we're having our gathering. It's going to be awesome. And I'm really excited for all the people. I'm going to be seeing like people that I know from like the Detroit area that I haven't seen in a long time. And this is really awesome, you know. What we're doing with CPI, with the Center for Political Innovation, is amazingly special. We just got out of our storage locker in DC some of the CPI books. Everyone who comes is going to get a t-shirt, CPI t-shirt, a CPI button, like 4 CPI books they're going to get in their welcome packet. It's going to be awesome, right? Special shout out to our friend in Oregon who made the buttons for us. Amazing. Shout out to our CPI president, Elizabeth Young, who's on her way. She's flying in. You know, I mean, shout out to the people driving in from around the country. You know, we're doing great stuff here. We are really, really doing great stuff. The city building tendency. We are going to light up the Midwest with new cities, right? Fusion City, the new cities are going to be built across the Midwest. We are all about constructive socialism, socialism based on growth and optimism and the American spirit, finding the parts of the American people that are not imperialist and are not individualist, but are optimistic and are collective and are anti-imperialist. That's what we're about. We're about reinventing socialism in America, reinventing anti-imperialism in America so it can win. That is what we're about, right? The American people, there is a revolutionary vein, a revolutionary soul in the American spirit, as much as it's been buried, as much as they like to tell us that we're all a bunch of racist cowboys and Euro settlers. Within the American people, there is a spirit of solidarity and brotherhood and optimism. There's the spirit of Eugene Debs and Gus Hall and Harriet Tubman, the spirit of Cesar Chavez and Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. I mean, that is the real soul of the American people. Don't let the synthetic left tell you that you know, oh, the American people, they're all just the KKK, they're all white supremacists. That is a recipe for failure, right? And that's what these grifters like Danny Haiphong want us all to believe. They want to hate the American people. They want to use woke as a way to grift and make money. They don't want to build an in real life movement. I don't know if you've noticed, but the most vicious cancellations and attacks are leveled against the people who build in real life movements. Nick Brana, myself, the Rage Against the War Machine coalition, they are ruthless against us because they're not afraid of internet grifting. They're not afraid of people streaming and just saying, oh, war is bad, you know, there is no future, there is no hope. They are afraid of building real networks. That is what they are scared of. They are afraid of a real alliance, a block of resistance emerging within America. What's up?
That's why what Trump has been doing by saying like good things about North Korea, and the fact that you see some of these MAGA people and influencers starting to question the narrative about China, question the narrative about Russia, question the narrative about North Korea, some even questioning the narrative about Iran. You know, this is huge because this gives us an opportunity to meet with these people IRL, go to MAGA rallies, and start talking with these people about what is happening all around the world and how, you know, these countries have nuclear weapons and these countries are not our enemy, and there's no point in fighting with them and getting into these huge wars with them. Trump recently said something very funny where he was like, he said, you know, there's two N-words, neither of them you should ever say. One of them is nuclear. Nuclear. You should never talk about nuclear because it's so dangerous, everyone will die. And that's the truth. And right now, you know, I want to tell people too, even without nuclear war, even if we get into a fight without nuclear weapons, today, now we have these massive cyber weapons. We have the Space Force and these space weapons that are being developed. We have the ability to just shut off all of the infrastructure that we have all of these people relying on. And think of how badly supply lines will go down. If we have a war with China or with Russia, like a serious hot war with them, you're talking millions and millions of people dying, even if we somehow don't escalate into a nuclear war. So this kind of opportunity that is opening up from this sphere where people are starting to recognize that, you know what, actually maybe North Korea isn't our enemy. It's very important, and that's how you could tell that none of these leftists are serious, because if they saw this and they really wanted to save the world, they would be jumping out of their seats wanting to go talk to these people and keep this up and move forward on this. And that's, you know, Caleb and I have been discussing some more ideas to move forward on this. I don't know if you want to talk more about like
Sure.
what we could possibly do out of this arrangement. That's
Yeah, sure, folks. Look, I'm gonna keep my eyes like looking forward because I'm getting a little dizzy with the looking at the camera and it's shaking. But I'll keep glancing at it every so often. But look, right now we got to do everything we can to get to the broad masses of people. Look, one thing that I have been noticed for a long time is like one thing that Americans hate is the police state. Black folks, they've been out there in the streets. Black Lives Matter, talking about police brutality. Many, you know, the black community has been struggling against the police state, the boot that's been on their necks, and the youth movement. You know, Chairman O'Malley and the African People's Party, they have been doing amazing work in the St. Louis area. You know, providing services to the black community. And since the Ferguson uprising, especially, they've really built up a base, and that's why they've been targeted by the FBI. But many white Americans also see their civil liberties being taken away. They see what's happened to Julian Assange. They see the FBI raids, like the January 6th, the defendants, and what's been done to them. Biden is coming down on all dissidents for just shutting down dissent and locking down this country so he can march us into World War III. And he's going after the Uhuru movement. He's trying to jail Donald Trump to keep him out of the elections. He has jailed so many people who just like, they walked into the Capitol on January 6th because the doors were open because the police let them. You know, they thought they were supposed to go in. The police like escorted them in and were acting like they're tour guides. You know, it's disgusting what Biden is doing. He's setting up for a police state, and we can unite the black and the white working class against the low-wage police state, against the ultra monopolists, and we can do it.
Now that they've been keeping a list of everyone that's been saying anything bad about the generals like Mark Milley, any of these people, they've been apparently keeping a list of all these. It just came out a few days ago.
Wow.
And that they're actively watching this, and you don't even really hear much people really talking too much trash about any of the generals or anything, but it was recently revealed that they're really watching us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely they are. And it's not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence that anybody who does like real anti-imperialist work, you know, it becomes common knowledge that they're an evil, white supremacist, Nazi pedo. And I gotta say, I went off on that fucking Danny Haiphong because he has done so many streams about how patriotic socialism is actually white supremacy, is actually national socialism, blah, 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 blah. And he knows me, okay? I have known Danny Haiphong for a long time through political organizations. He knows that I'm not a white supremacist, but he goes along with this because he wants to get some woke points, basically. Right? He wants to get some woke points, you know, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. You know, and that there's so many people that, you know, they see people being smeared like Nick Brana. They see people being smeared and they just go along with it because, oh, I want to get some woke points, you know? And
they don't have a spine. They don't have a spine.
they don't have a spine, and they also don't understand that just talking on the internet doesn't change America, right? Ben Norton like moved to Nicaragua, right? He doesn't care if we build a real organization here, so he can just talk on the internet and be like, oh, I hate the American people, they're all racist, and Danny does the same shit. But it's like, we need a real network. We need a ship before the coming storm. This shit is gonna get real, folks, right? I mean, look what happened in the last election. It was contested. You know, Donald Trump's, his supporters, they thought they won. You know, the Democrats thought they won. And look what happened, January 6th, right? And now, like, not even dragged into court, you know, to keep him from running. Like, you think shit is not going to get real, and it's not going to get real fast. You are deluding yourself. And wait until there's an economic fallout in the country. Like, people are getting ready to, like, shit is going to get real, and we have to build a ship. We have to build an ark before the storm comes, right? The storm is coming fast, and when shit gets real, it won't matter how many likes you've gotten, how many shares you've gotten, how much attention you've gotten on your Instagram and all that. All it's going to matter is how many real friends do you have? How many real allies? How many in real life people do you have that you can count on? And that's what the Center for Political Innovation is doing. We are building a ship for the coming storm, right? And this is the real political work, and it's not sexy, and we don't get social media love, and people talk shit against us, and we get attacked, and the government's monitoring us. But that's because we're doing real shit. We're building the real coalition, right? We're standing with Uhuru. Who has done more for Uhuru than us, right? CPI, I mean, we were in the streets of Boston. You know, Noah was doing amazing work. You know, John McCarthy has done amazing work for Uhuru. Like, they are facing 10 years in prison, so we're standing with them, right? We are doing real anti-imperialist work. We are building real alliances. We're talking to real people. We're doing shit that needs to be done, right? And that is why, if you really in your heart believe in socialism, if this isn't just an internet game to you, you belong with CPI. That's where you belong. You belong with the Center for Political Innovation. We are doing what needs to be done, right? And we are taking this seriously. So I just wanted to get that off my chest as we're driving down the highway here. Anything else you want to add, Liam?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, you can tell that for a lot of these people on the so-called left, they don't actually want a revolution. They don't actually want life to get better for the general masses. Like, it's a grift for them. It's like their gig. It might be that they might think it's edgy and cool to be a communist, or it might just be, you know, for instance, these people in the CPUSA are literally just grifting off of their real estate and are not doing anything except for just being a little underdog of the Democrats. They even called themselves small D Democrats, which was very embarrassing.
Yeah.
Small D Democrats. Wow. Great sloganeering there. And these people, they're not in it for the American people. Like, they don't care. Like, driving through these places, like stopping at Golden Corral, seeing all these families, you know, enjoying. They're like, ew, look at these disgusting peasants. Like, that's like their attitude.
Yeah.
They don't want these people to live a better life. They think that they're consuming too much.
Yeah.
And it just irritates me so much. And I'm tired of pretending and having to curtail, like, what we say and how much, you know, we expose the truth, because we're worried that, oh, these people who are supposedly our allies and our friends are gonna cancel us because they're worried more about their career than actually the revolution. They're worried more about making sure that they could get their job on Fox News after they're done on whatever it is that they're doing, or they could get their job working at CNN. And, oh, I can't say that about Russia, or I can't take that stance because, you know, then I might not get employed at Fox News.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting, and these people need to be sorted out. We need to realize that those people are not our friends, and we need to unite with the people who really share a common destiny with us, and that they want to propel humanity forward to a newer, higher paradigm, beyond war and beyond scarcity. And that's what we're here for, and that's what we're fighting for, and that's why we're allied with people who are libertarians, with people who consider themselves conservatives, with people who consider themselves Trotskyists, with people who consider themselves whatever, as long as what they're really interested in is, you know, working together to stop this war drive and actually boost up the American people and the people around the globe. I mean, at least that's what I want to do. I actually want to make America great again, not because I'm some national chauvinist, but because these are the people who I love and who I share a common destiny with. If this country goes to hell and blows up and we're in complete anarchy and ruled by Wall Street, that means the people I love are going to be in suffering and they're going to be in bondage. And that is the common goal of anyone who is a communist, I would like to believe, would be that they would be dedicated to trying to pull the people out of this oppression and unleash humanity to be at our highest level of performance.
Absolutely. No, again, don't be offended if I'm not looking at you all. I just, I can't. I'm getting dizzy from looking at the phone. But like, we were talking today. Like, there's a book. This anarchist who was like a big thinker at Occupy Wall Street, David Graeber. He said a lot of things I don't agree with. But one thing that he pointed out is that there's a lot of these jobs in the middle class that are like urban professional jobs that don't really serve a purpose for capital. They're not making money off of them. But I was talking with Liam, like, they basically use these jobs as a bribe, right? In order to get one of these like urban middle class jobs, right? They're getting rid of all the value producing jobs. They're replacing them with artificial intelligence. They're phasing out like labor. But they have these jobs where you like work in an office for like an NGO or a nonprofit in like an urban center, and you get paid like a nice fancy salary so that you can live a comfortable life in the urban middle class. In order to get one of those jobs, you have to be woke and you can't think. You have to be a conformist. You can't question anything about Russia or China. Can't ask questions about the trans issue. You can't not watch mainstream media and agree with mainstream media. And it's like the ultra rich, like the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Carnegies, the Ford Foundation, Soros, they have set up these like middle class urban jobs as the bribe to like keep people from thinking. That is what I'm convinced. All this stuff that David Graeber wrote about useless jobs that don't serve a purpose, those jobs are there as like a bribe and a threat. Like if you go to college, you get into student debt, the only hope you have to not be like, like semi-employed or barely employed for the rest of your life is you have to work one of these jobs that is like part of the woke machine that doesn't really serve any like purpose. The capitalists aren't making surplus value off of you. It's just kind of a bribe out of their super profits, and that it's about stabilizing society. And it's really bizarre because the labor aristocracy, they used to talk about the labor aristocracy, the well-paid workers. Those jobs, at least those jobs, they paid these workers higher wages, and those workers, because they were making higher pay than like the lower paid workers, the so-called unskilled workers on the assembly line, we're talking about like, construction trades, pipe fitters, they would be like more pro-imperialist, they'd be more racist, they would ban black workers from their unions. But at least those workers, they built these unions, they were producing value, and they like fought for what they had, and then because they got their privilege, they became pro-imperialist. But now this like layer they're creating, these are jobs that almost just serve a propaganda purpose, right? Go and read Lenin's writing about the labor aristocracy. The super chat came through. Reestablishment says, with you in spirit this weekend, comrades, have a kick-ass retreat. Well, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, Reestablishment. Yeah, we appreciate it. But like these jobs, they almost serve as a they toss money jobs in the liberal woke establishment as a way of like bribing college graduates not to think. It's really kind of scary. It's weird. And then a lot of younger people, they get attracted to this kind of social justice work. They want to work for the unions. They want to work for one of these NGOs because they have kind of a socialist, social justice orientation. But the purpose these jobs serve is completely different.
The best paying ones are these like so-called consulting jobs, where exactly what you are is you're basically some weird social manager, and they fulfill the new type of standards that they're doing, where it's like, they'll go to a business and they'll say, oh, well, for your business to be, they pay this huge consulting fee, and they basically just tell them, oh, for your business, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you cut emissions. You also hire more, minorities, more LGBT, and you have to hit all these standards or else they'll hit you with all these huge fines. And then like the HR people, right? They're also like this weird, they force everyone to comply to this sort of liberal woke thing. You have to get vaccinated, they monitor your social media. They monitor, everything that you say and do and work. If you make anyone uncomfortable because you have an opinion that, and it's sad because you'll see people working in these kind of institutions. They might come from a more Republican or a conservative background, and then, even though they might be religious, they're like just kind of forced into, supporting things that may not even agree with their religion or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this like forced compliance.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of, you depend on those institutions, and you depend on that backing for you to maintain the style of life that you're living.
Yeah.
And the way that you get promoted is by kissing that ass the most.
Yeah.
And by doing it the most and being the most compliant to those rules.
And by telling on other people.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it too, right? You're incentivized now with cancel culture to turn in other people. It's exactly what they used to tell us about communism. Oh, in the communist society, kids turn in their parents, and all. They're doing it exactly now, right? You have to tell on your coworkers. Oh, my coworker, he was retweeting Russian propaganda. He should go to jail. It's just, this is what they do, right? I mean, they're creating everything they warned us about, it's like the communists. They're doing it now to maintain their degrowth modern capitalism. It's really fascinating, to think about. And there's a lot of people who do think for themselves and do question things and are forced to be silent, right? And one thing I think we need to figure out for CPI is we need to figure out how people can be underground CPI. Not everything has to go on the internet. We need to make a way for people to be in CPI, participate in our events, but not ever get doxxed, right? So they can work in one of these bullshit jobs and pay their bills, but then be an anti-imperialist and be a revolutionary Marxist, beneath the surface. We need that because right now, it's really dangerous. The cancel culture and the bullying and all that, and they're getting rid of all the real value-producing jobs. They're replacing them with AI, with machines. But anyway, folks, I'm getting kind of dizzy looking at the phone as we drive down the highway. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. And I'm really, shout out to everyone who made this weekend happen. It's going to be a great weekend at our workshop. Mark your calendar for July 10th, our upcoming event. It's going to be a great event that we have in New York City. CPI is doing amazing things, and the Center for Political Innovation is the future. We are building a network. We are building a ship before the coming storm. I guess we'll do the closing mantra, right? Ever since World War II, U.S. imperialism and its followers have been continuously launching wars of aggression, but the people of various countries have been continuously waging revolutionary wars to defeat their aggression. While the danger of a new world war still exists, and the people of all countries must get prepared, revolution is the main trend in the world today. While the danger of a new world war still exists, and the people of all countries must get prepared, revolution is the main trend in the world.